Good morning, everybody. We're going to get going here. So as soon as we get my laptop muted. Bailey, are we recording? Okay. I'm going to kick us off, open this up January 22nd at 10 a.m., our formal session. I'm going to go ahead and lead us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much for that. First up, item B, actually item C is calendar session. Is there any commissioner that needs to make any changes to the calendar session?
Nope.
Seeing none. Next up is D, is public comment for our regular session. Is there any public comments for our regular session?
We didn't receive any comment cards for general public comment.
Okay, thank you. Anybody online? Seeing none. E is our work session. There is none. F is the consent agenda. I would move approval. Is there any further discussion?
Just need to make a correction that I'm the liaison to emergency management. I don't think that's actually designated. So just wanted to call that out.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's
okay,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the exception of ASA, right?
With the exception of ASA,
You're the liaison to ASA.
I'm a member of ASA
Yeah.
and the liaison to
Yeah,
emergency
yeah.
management.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so we'll get that changed
good.
around then.
Do we need to vote?
The motion, you could make the change
Okay.
to that item as part of a motion.
So
to
I'll
approve the
amend my
comment.
motion to approve the consent agenda with the corrections to the liaison duties to make sure that Commissioner Sterrett shows emergency management as a liaison duty.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
None.
None? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. G is old business. There is none. H is other business. H1 is consideration of approval of amendment number 2 between Yamhill County and the DPI Security, Inc. for security services for the government services building in the not to exceed amount of $47,586 retroactive to November 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2026. I would move approval. Is there any further discussion?
None.
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And that brings us to our public hearings. I'm going to open this public hearing at 10:03 for docket number G-01-25. And I'm going to hand it over to our planning director, Ken Friday, to start us off.
Yes, thank you for attending today's meeting. Public participation is encouraged. If you wish to testify, please fill out a public comment card, which is located in the hallway, and give it to the secretary. This is a legislative hearing, so testimony will be taken in the order the public comment card is received, not divided by opponent or proponent. Because of the large volume of public commenters that wish to speak on today's agenda, we ask that you please limit your testimony to no more than 3 minutes, recognizing that substance, not length, determines the value of testimony or written information. Individuals providing testimony must first state their name and address for the record, and the 3-minute timer will then begin. Also, there is no gifting or ceding of your time to another speaker. The chair will be calling individual testifiers to the table 2 at a time and will then announce the names of the next 2 testifiers that follow in the queue to be on deck. Those that are called to be on deck are asked to make their way up to the front and sit in the front row of chairs to my right and await their turn. Public participation also includes the ability to attend the hearing via Zoom. For attendees that are joining the meeting via Zoom, please use the raise hand function in Zoom and keep your hand up until you are called upon. The chair will have the two in-person speakers go first, and then we'll call on a Zoom participant. The chair will rotate between those present and those online until all have had an opportunity to speak. When it is your turn to speak, please remember to be respectful and adhere to the directions of the chair. Disruptive behavior, personal attacks, and rudeness are prohibited, and failure to comply may result in forfeiture of testimony or removal from the proceedings. If there is an issue and someone has already covered it, it is not necessary to repeat that testimony. If someone has already covered what you were going to say, you can simply state that your issue has been covered by a previous speaker. Requests to continue the hearing are not required to be granted, but the Board of Commissioners may continue a legislative hearing if the majority consents to it. If the continuance is to a specific date, time, and location, no additional notice is required. Also, if you have objections to the proceedings that you would like on the record, you may state those objections when you testify, but you may not cross-examine any participant, staff, or decision maker. Lastly, the board will be having a break about every 1.5 to 2 hours, and we'll pause the proceedings around noon for lunch.
Thank you, Ken. With that, I want to just reiterate that we have posted warnings, and we ask that you please be respectful today. It is okay to clap in support of a comment that you hear, but we will not allow any outbursts or disrespectful behavior. Admin will be watching. I'm going to be focused on reading off comment cards, bringing people up, getting them in the batter's box, and running this meeting. So you see admin Ken Huffer over here. If he comes up and walks up to you, that probably is not a good sign. So let's just keep it all cordial. Everybody's here, and let's keep it respectful. So with that, we're going to move on to 3. I'm going to ask for any objections for this board to hear this in this jurisdiction. And what I'm going to request is that when you come up and give your comment, that will be when you have your statement to give for any objections for this board to hear or in this jurisdiction. As Ken Friday stated, we will call everybody up to testify, and we will get the batter's box full. We will get the 2 seats full, and then we're going to rotate as a third comment. So we'll be seat 1, seat 2, and third commenter will be online. So we'll keep a consistent flow going. That'll give us time to promote, because it takes a little bit of effort to get people prompted online. We're going to try to keep this running as smooth as possible and be respectful of everybody's time, because we know this is a meeting that's during the day. Item 4 that I have is that if there's any commissioner that needs to reveal any actual or potential conflicts of interest. So I'm going to read a statement. In regards to political donations to our respective campaigns, we have all accepted campaign donations from constituents who support our positions on local issues. Whether someone donates because they favor developing the right-of-way into a trail or oppose it, or care about any other issue, their contribution simply reflects agreement with a candidate's stance. Every constituent has the right to support candidates who share their views through lawful donations without fear of disparagement. All contributions are reported fully in compliance with campaign finance laws. This is protected political participation, not improper influence. With that being said, I will declare a potential conflict of interest due to receiving campaign contributions from constituents who both support and oppose development of the right-of-way, but will not have bearing on my ability on making an impartial decision. Is there any other commissioner who would like to report any conflicts of interest?
Chair, I'd like to concur and say that for the last 12 years, I've received political donations from constituents. Some of them, I know their position on the development of the trail, others I don't. So I will say that none of this will influence or has influenced my decisions over the last 12 years.
I would echo both of those things, minus the 12 years. I'm only 2, but I've definitely received contributions for and against, and it will not affect my ability to make a judgment today.
Thank you for that. Moving on to item 5, this is going to be where we start our testimony from the citizens, interest groups, and other units of the government. Okay. Put them on the bottom. Okay, thank you very much. Just as a quick note as we get going here, I just want to keep it as a reminder as you guys are coming up and giving your comments that all 3 commissioners at one time or another did either review or were at the December 4th Planning Commission meeting. So we did hear a lot of comments already. I don't want that to hinder what you're going to say today, but just keep that in the back of your mind for the length of this hearing and as we proceed.
Did you want to go ahead and request anybody who's participating on Zoom to raise their hands now if they want to get in line for
That'd-
providing testimony?
Absolutely. So raise your hand now if you're online, and we will start prompting in order. It'll keep it tracked in order, and we'll bring you forward as the 3rd seat in the rotation. Okay, with that, we're going to get going here. And first up, I'm going to have Jason Fields. Second up, we're going to have James Goings. In the reserved seats, please come up. It's going to be Greg Thorsgood, Bob Luato, John Weiser, Tom Hammer, and I think we have one more seat. One more seat's going to be Scott Bernards. So those are all on deck. And as we drop one seat in between commenters, I will call the next one coming up. They will take a seat in the on deck. And just anybody, when you see an empty seat at the commenting table, just take that seat and just be quiet about it because there'll be other commenters that are speaking. And with that, name and address, please.
Jason Fields, Newburgh, Oregon.
And go
Good-
ahead.
Good morning, Chair Johnson, Commissioner Sterrett and King. My name is Jason Fields and I currently serve as an elected board member of the Chehalis Parks and Recreation District and as an appointed member of the Yamhill County Budget Committee for the last 5 years. I'm here today to support removing the Yamhill West Sider Trail from the Transportation System Plan, and I'd like to share my reasoning as someone who comes from practical hands-on governance, not political ideology. One thing I've learned during my time on the Parks and Board of Recreation is that recreation projects are rarely just about recreation. They involve complicated land use issues, financial responsibility, and maintaining the trust of the public and adjacent landowners. CPRD was given the opportunity to purchase land at an extremely discounted price from a generous family, the Crystal Riley Park, with the clear intention that it be used in equestrian, hiking, and agricultural facility. Over time, pressure grew to include mountain biking, which led to real community division. In the end, I voted to remove mountain biking, not because I'm against it, but because to me, it was more important to honor the donor's intent to keep the district's credibility intact. After that, I started looking for alternative sites where mountain biking would be a better fit. And that's the kind of balanced problem solving I try to bring to every decision. The trail has faced major legal and land use hurdles, especially under Oregon's farm impacts test, that makes its path forward incredibly unlikely. Keeping it in the TSP doesn't move us towards a solution. It just keeps the debate alive and fuels division. I was recently asked to sign a campaign pledge that I would commit to keeping the corridor intact and in the county's possession. I chose not to sign it. I don't believe elected officials or candidates for office should hand over their judgment to a special interest group. Essentially, what that pledge requires is for the county to find $1.7 million in its already tight budget to buy itself out of the federal grant requirements. Even then, the corridor would not be open to the public. That's called land banking, and that's not a responsible decision, even when we have other recreational priorities. If a project isn't working, good leadership means recognizing that choosing a better path. That doesn't mean giving up on recreation. Far from it. The county should pursue real achievable opportunities for recreation and community use on land it already owns in appropriate zones without zoning conflicts or litigation risk. I've proposed ideas like a year-round amphitheater at the county fairgrounds that could generate revenue, bring people together, and enhance our park system in a way that works for everyone. Removing the trail from the TSP is about clearing the way legally and practically to invest in ideas that are actually doable and build community, not division.
Thank you. On deck, to fill the empty seat will be Celine McCarthy. Commenter number 2, go ahead.
My name is James Goins. I'm a resident of McMinnville. I live at 2126 Northwest Elm Street, McMinnville, Oregon. Good morning, Chair Johnston, Commissioner Sterrett and King. I'm here as a Yamhill County taxpayer to urge you to remove the Yamhilius West Sider Trail from the Transportation System Plan. This issue is actually very simple. The Yamhilius West Sider Trail project is over. The county ended it years ago. The land use application was withdrawn. The bridge was dismantled. The county chose not to start over with the master plan. That was a clear policy decision made by a previous Board of Commissioners in 2021. What before you today is whether the trail is a good idea in theory, but debate is long past. What before you is whether the transportation system plan should accurately reflect current county policy and reality. Right now, it does not. The Planning Commission recognized this, and after reviewing the legal history, land use requirements, and conflicted comprehensive plan goals, and after listening to hours of public testimony, voted unanimously to recommend removing the trail from the TSP. I appreciate the seriousness with which they approach this issue, and I hope this board will give that recommend weight that it deserves. As a taxpayer, I am concerned about accountability. Millions of dollars are spent on planning, legal defense, construction, and even tearing down a bridge that should never have been built with proper approval. That money is gone. The responsible thing to do now is to make sure that the county does not continue to devote time, attention, and future resources to a project that no longer exists. It's also important to be honest with the public. For years, many residents were told it's just a trail, but recent testimony from trail supporters acknowledge that this is a long-term vision to include light rail. Whether someone supports this idea or not, it's clear that the county taxpayers were never fully informed about the potential cost, implications. Keeping the trail in the TSP only perpetuates the confusion. A transportation system plan supposed to guide real achievable priorities. It should not include abandoned projects that cannot be built legally, funded responsibly, or support by a current county policy. Removing the Yamhilius West Sider Trail TSP doesn't prevent future ideas from being discussed openly and honestly. It simply closes a book on a project that has already been closed in every meaningful way. The trail is gone. The Planning Commission has spoke unanimously, and the policy decision is settled. I respectfully ask you to finish the job and remove the Yamhilius West Sider Trail from the Transportation System Plan. Thank you for your time and your service to Yamhill County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on to seat number 3, which is online. Bailey, can you promote, I think it's David? Coming up in the empty seat is going to be Alice Partridge. Yes. We're going to go online. I'll give you 10 more seconds, then we're going to move back to in-house. All right, Don, we're going to swing back to you. We'll try to get you promoted. Mr. Thorogood, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Greg Dorsgaard. I live in Carlton, Oregon, and I serve on the Yamhill County Budget
Oh,
Committee.
excuse me. Can you bring that microphone up in front of you? Also, don't forget name and address, please.
I'm Greg Thorsgaard. I live in Carlton, Oregon, and I serve on the Yamhill County Budget Committee. I'm here to recommend that the Board of Commissioners remove the trail from the Transportation System Plan. The project has consumed an incredible amount of staff time, legal fees, grant expenses, with nothing to show for it. A physical audit should have been conducted after the trail application was withdrawn. Because it wasn't done, the public will probably never know the true amount of money that has been wasted so far. I'm aware that by removing the project from TSP, a repayment of federal acquisition grant will likely be triggered. I have seen calls for the county to buy its way out of the obligations of this grant and own the corridor free and clear without the grant requirements of future multimodal transportation development. I'm here to speak very directly about the financial reality facing this county and why the idea of funding $1.7 million to buy our way out of the grant is just not unrealistic, but physically irresponsible. Every year I scrutinize the county budget line by line, and here's the reality. While the total budget's over 200 million, only about 15% of that is discretionary. The rest is tied up in restricted funds. State and federal programs are beginning balances that departments rely on to function. Over half of our budget goes to personnel costs. So salaries, benefits, and retirement. PERS alone is eating a larger share every year. Departments like the district attorney's office and the clerk are already stretched thin. We've cut positions, we've deferred requests, we've told departments no more times than people realize. So when I hear about just funding 1.7 million, I want to be very clear. There is no place to find it. Not without cutting prosecutors, cutting probation or public service, or hurting core services that people actually count on. And for what? To own a piece of land that the public can't access, that we can't have the budget to maintain, and it has no realistic path to legal development. It's not an investment, it's a liability. Owning that land just to say we own it with no plan, no access, and no budget is not stewardship. It's wishful thinking with taxpayers' dollars. As someone who has to make difficult recommendations year after year, I urge you to deal in fiscal reality, not slogans. Put the trail project to bed, find a way to repay the grant that does not involve cutting public services or county departments, and let us focus limited resources where they actually serve the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we go back to online real quick? Did we get?
I'm Don Holland, 24315 Northeast Highway 240, Newburgh, Oregon. And I question the urgency of amending the Yamhill County Transportation Plan at this point. And we are 11 years into a plan that looks out 20 years. We're due for an update on this plan. It would make much more sense to include further study of this, determine the best uses of this land through the actual process of updating the Yamhill County Transportation Plan. And there are many items in the AYC TSP that currently have no feasible path forward. Removing this one and leaving the rest right now would seem inconsistent, maybe even hypocritical. The state, our county needs more recreational opportunities. It needs safe routes for pedestrians and bicyclists. The West Sider Trail would provide something along Highway 47 to allow safe use by other than vehicles. There's many areas in our county that need similar attention, but this is one that is actually in the plan and needs to be looked at further rather than removed. Needs to be figured out how to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Next up is going to be Leona Todd. Mr. Lovato, go ahead.
Okay, the public always needs to know the whole story to make informed decisions. My name is Bob Lovato, and I live at 13900 Northwest Fircrest Road, McMinnville, Oregon. I was born and raised in Yamhill County and have lived and worked here for over 50 years. Our family has started two businesses and supplied jobs for thousands of people in Yamhill County and the surrounding areas in Oregon. I am speaking this morning because of the confusion that has happened involving the Yamhillis West Side Trail. For years, the public was under the impression that it was a walking and biking path to be used by the public. The truth was hidden in the 880 ordinance that said it was really being reserved for a light rail system. Yamhill County taxpayers do not need to deal with increased taxes and control that comes with a metro system coming out of Portland. The County Planning Commission has voted to remove the West Side Trail from the transportation package unanimously, and the trail has failed Oregon's farm impact laws several times. It has already cost the county taxpayers millions of dollars. It will continue to do so as long as the language is in the transportation system package of Yamhill County. I believe the county needs to sell the land back to the farmers or other private investors and put the money in a rainy day fund for county emergencies. All that the county has done is spent millions of dollars, and the only thing we had to show for it is another bridge to nowhere, and then we had to spend the money to remove the bridge. End the wasted time and money, and please vote to take the Yamhillis West Side Trail out of the transportation package for Yamhill County. I urge Yamhill County Commissioners to permanently remove it from the transportation system package and end this controversial issue. If the county needs biking and walking paths, work with the cities to help establish them without using county taxpayer dollars. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can we go ahead and, I want to get back in order here, so can we get Tanya promoted? And then next up for the open reserve seat in the batter's box is going to be Wendy Kellington.
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Tanya Tompkins. My address is 925 Southeast Davis Street, McMinnville, Oregon. I'm testifying because what is happening with the Yamhillis West Side Corridor represents a serious failure of long-term stewardship, transparency, and public trust. This corridor is publicly owned asset. It's purchased with public funds, explicitly preserved for future public use. It belongs to the people of this county. Removing it from the TSP is not a neutral housekeeping change. It's a deliberate step toward dismantling and potentially privatizing a once-in-a-generation public investment. Once that happens, it's gone forever. And this is not just about a trail. It's about safeguarding a corridor that holds long-term value for transportation, emergency access, utilities, safety, connectivity, economic opportunity. The list goes on and on. Long-range planning exists precisely to protect these corridors like this before political pressure or private interest close the door. Abandoning that responsibility now is not only short-sighted, but also irresponsible. Equally troubling is the process that brought us here. The Planning Commission hearing that many people probably in the room attended raised profound concerns about conflicts of interest, where multiple members were litigants in LUBA proceedings. Campaign contributions were everywhere in terms of our current Board of Commission. And past former commissioners, family appointments being made, and incomplete recusals. When individuals that have adjacent property interests or prior legal involvement remain at the dais, comment during proceedings, or vote on recommendations, it erodes legitimacy of the outcome regardless of the intent. This is not how public land use decisions should be made. Hundreds, they were spilling into the streets, showed up to oppose removing this corridor from the TSP. They didn't come for optics. They came because they recognize what is at stake, a public asset being dismantled through a process that feels predetermined and insulated from meaningful public input. As commissioners, you're not stewards for a handful of wealthy landowners. Behavioral science shows that even modest gifts and favors matter. Reciprocity operates automatically, and people routinely underestimate how much it influences their decision-making. You are stewards for the entire county. present, and future. When public trust is broken, when process appears to be a foregone conclusion, and when long-term public assets are sacrificed for short-term political convenience, the public has every right to demand accountability. I'm asking you to stop. Keep this corridor in the TSP. Recommit to transparency, recommit to ethical governance, and if there's real disagreement about the future of this corridor, have the integrity to let the voters of Yamhill County weigh in. Once a public corridor is given away, it can't be reclaimed. In the words of County Commissioner Leslie Lewis in 2012, quote, "If you're not a long-term thinker in the transportation world, you're not going to go anywhere. If you allow Union Pacific to sell off the line piecemeal, you'll never reestablish it. It all begins with acquiring the right of way, and that begins with putting it in our transportation plan," end quote. What you choose to do here will define your legacy, not just politically, but ethically. Please choose long-term vision over short-term pressure and the public interest over private influence.
To
Thank you.
one now. Seat one, go ahead.
Morning, Commissioners, King, Johnston, and Sterrett. My name's John Weiser. I live at 7680 Northeast Gun Club Road, Carlton, and a portion of my property borders the supposed trail corridor. I've been involved from the very beginning when they had their first meeting down at the community center. Spent many hours in this room at 10 o'clock in the morning discussing with the county liaison, commissioner, whoever it might be at the time, discussing issues that I saw were not being met, mainly the failure to do any land use, following any of the land use requirements, farm impact requirements, excuse me. Finally, after years of doing this, we finally got LUBA to, the county wound up losing all 5 LUBA cases. The Planning Commission recognized that it was dead and unanimously recommended removal. And I agree with that. Keeping this trail in the TSP does not promote recreation. It prolongs conflict. Removing it is a responsible choice. And I would appreciate you people act on that recommendation today. And I thank you for all the time and effort you put into this.
Thank you. On deck is going to be Jack Kriz, commenter seat number 2. Go ahead.
Do I get to
Yep.
go? Chair
Nick Nash,
Johnston
please.
and Commissioners King and Sterrett, I'm Tom Hammer. I live in rural Yamhill County near Wheatland. I'm in favor of removing the Yamhill West Sider Trail from the Transportation System Plan. The trail was entered into the TSP when a volunteer leader of Friends of the Yamhill West Sider Trail deliberately deceived the 2012 commissioners by saying farmers had no objections to it. Kathy George documented that 2012 deceit in a letter. That same misrepresentation was made to the Mid-Willamette Valley Area Commission on Transportation by a former county commissioner in order to secure a grant for initial design of the trail, which included 2 light rail bridges of a bearing weight, elevation, and course to accommodate a light rail train at speed. The option for light rail was written into the original description of the Yamhill West Sider Trail. An initial LUBA ruling remanded the county to follow land use law for a non-conforming use in EFU zone. 2 commissioners voted that the county should follow that LUBA remand. 3 unelected staff met with 1 now former commissioner in an illegal ex parte meeting and coerced him into changing his vote to support their desire that the county ignore the LUBA remand. 2 of these officials are current county staff leaders. The meeting was the subject of a News Register story. If the county had followed the LUBA remand, they would have had to facilitate an ag impact study And if it showed no substantial harm to farmers along the abandoned rail line, then the county could apply for a conditional use permit. The Friends of the Yamhalis West Sider Trail, in order to circumvent land use law, have conducted several PR stunts designed to inflame an uninformed public. Being informed includes knowing land use law, knowing the business needs of a farm, and respecting its reliance on private property rights, knowing costs of trail construction, and understanding the economic structure of our county. Exercise is an essential human activity. It nurtures mind, body, and soul. Providing recreation for exercise is not an essential function of government, but government can and should do much to facilitate recreation. Trails constitute just a fraction of the recreational facilities government provides to the public. And the Yamhalis West Sider Trail that has been fraught with deliberate deceit and malfeasance and continues to be, and recognize the many opportunities to do recreation right.
Thank you. We're going to go online. Could you please promote Richard? Or is it David? Is David up next? David?
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me all right?
Yep. Name and address, please. Thank you.
Yeah, David Hetty, and I am in Newberg, Oregon. And yeah, I've been a resident here for 5 years and have a family with 3 kids. We enjoy recreating and spending time outside. Also use my bicycle as a source of transportation, and think that there should be opportunities for people to do so in our county. I think my main interest that I'd like to communicate today is the value of a trail, like this one we're talking about today, for livability for our county. I think we need to continue to invest in livability here where we live. We want to continue to make it a place that people love to work and live and play. And I think a trail like this will continue to create the type of county that people want to remain in and live in and spend their money. I understand that this is a conversation that's been going on a long time. There's a lot of different angles to look at this. It takes incredible patience and cooperation to see a significant project like this through. But I believe that it's worth it. There's precedent of other trails that have like the Banks Vernonia Trail that took an enormous amount of time and energy and capacity, but seeing it through was worth it in the sense that it created opportunity for people to recreate and use it for transportation. And I think we have the same opportunity in our county here before us. Just echoing a little bit of what I've heard already, but saying it in a little different way, that we have a role, and you all, as commissioners, have a role of planning for the future. It's not just about right now and about us. It's about the next generation and generations beyond. And I think creating these opportunities for recreation and transportation, opportunities to get youth and others outside, being away from screens and in phones, is worth it. And we have an opportunity to join together and learn to cooperate in a very difficult situation, I understand. But thank you, and let's plan for the future with this trail.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask Penny Rader to be on deck. Thank you very much. Up then in the batter's box now, or on deck, would be Alan Sitton. Position 1, Mr. Bernards, go ahead. Name and address.
Thank you, commissioners and Yamhill County staff. I'm Scott Bernards at 8780 Northwest Lakeside Drive, Carlton, Oregon. Multi-generational farmer. I don't have a lot to say other than I truly support pulling this out of the transportation plan. It's it's literally just an illegal, they cannot pass farm use laws. They just can't mitigate farm impact. It's an illegal operation in EFU unless maybe they could change Oregon land use. That's the path they need to go. They've got to pull Oregon land use, which my forefathers, in the 70s, we put some pretty restringent Oregon land use laws in to protect our, what we love here. And I think it's a great thing. We've given up some for that, but that's the way it is. So if they want to do with Oregon land use, then they could probably do this. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next on deck is going to be Steve Wick. Ms. McCarthy, go ahead. Name and address.
Yamhill, Oregon. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity. Oh, sorry. Can I do my timer again? Celine McCarthy, Yamhill, Oregon. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to speak. And oh, how I wish I could have a nice skipping through the tulips testimony, but alas, I cannot. For I know our land use laws, the truth, and the history of this trail. I have lived it. And the Planning Commission knows the law too. That's why they voted 5-0 to pull the trail from the TSP. And past county commissioners and staff knew too. And that's why they took a run at it and tried to develop a trail without a permit or any notification to landowners. These trails do not exist in EFU zoning because of Oregon Statute 215.296, because it cannot pass the farm impacts test. Luba sided multiple times with the farmers, so much that almost $50,000 was paid for their attorney fees against Yamhill County, which was the biggest payout in Luba state history. The other zones this trail goes through is AF10 and heavy industrial, in which trails are outright not permitted. These are our land use laws. Wallowa County just defeated a trail for the very same reasons. And there are massive farm impacts without resolution. This trail dissects people's lands that have horses, sheep, goats. There's several filbert orchards, field crops, a cattle operation, and even a dairy. Just how many gates and fences would it take for this gauntlet, let alone crossing 2 highways, several roads, not to mention the enormous price tag, no clue how to maintain, fire, police, and rescue are tapped, and it can't even be insured. And you're inviting Portland's problems to come. We don't have the monies to fix our roads, and yet folks want to spend zillions on recreation. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why recreation should oversee somebody's livelihood, especially agriculture, the folks that feed you. We are a conservation state. Our zoning laws were created to preserve and protect. Compare EFU with wetlands. It's okay to protect critters and their habitat, but not a farmer in his. Besides, farmers are slowly becoming an endangered species, and so is their land. These reasons why the dump got shut down are some of the very same reasons this trail will never go through. And if you don't understand it, ask a farmer. There's lots of them here. They're really nice people. They'll be happy to explain. And they were a lot nicer before they had to spend their own money to sue their own county government to follow its own land use laws. This proposed trail was doomed from the start, and it saddens me that is still being promoted to a misinformed public, giving them false hope. And I think that's just cruel. So please quit beating on this dead trail horse that's totally pulverized. Give your passion and energy to the Parks and Rec Department. They're working hard to develop new outdoor spaces and trails that are affordable and legal in the right zoning. This is a zoning issue. I'm not anti-trail, I'm just pro-farm.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to online. Up next is Richard Smith. And then on deck next is going to be Marcia Baker.
Hi there, are you able to hear me?
Yes, go ahead, name and address.
My name is Richard Smith. My address is 739 Northeast 9th Street, McMinnville, Oregon. It seems to me that we want this Yamhill, it seems to me critical that we keep this Yamhill trail. It's painful to see certain commissioners use the Banks Vernonia Trail and not see the irony of that trail being on the this trail being on the chopping block. It's heartbreaking. This is a generational opportunity to improve our county in a major way. We should not dismiss it because a minority of landowners want this land. Important stewardship means maintaining the county for future generations. Please vote to keep the trail or move it to a public vote. Once this trail passes out of our hands, we won't be able to get it back. We won't be able to get that land use back. We won't be able to get that right of way back. There are so many things that this piece of land could be in public hands. If we want to improve agritourism, build on our natural assets, we should keep supporting this trail. Keep public land public. Don't sell off mine and every other Yamhill County residents' land. We are a conservation state. Conserving this important piece of public land is in that nature. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. We're now going to come back in-house to position 1. Go ahead, name and address.
Hi, my name's Alice Patridge. I live in Carlton, Oregon, 687 North Coolidge Street. And I do have 105 feet of the trail right up against my backyard. It's not a democracy, it's a republic. Thank you for being part of the republic. As a republic, we depend on our elected officials to make sure laws and rules are applied and followed. We have borne witness to some of our leadership falling for the cries of some entitled people, many of which do not reside in Yamhill County, and many more that do not reside directly against the right-of-way. We have looked to you to defend our rights under LUBA guidelines, and you have faced the battle bravely, even to the point of personal attacks and threats. Thank you for stepping up in this battle, and please keep pressing forward. The county has lost enough money fighting this, and it is time to put an end to this and remove the Yamhill Westside Trail from the TSP docket permanently, the republic for which it stands. I have a grateful heart today because I am in a country that is a republic. I am grateful for those of you here on this board that take your oath of office seriously and bravely. Thank you for standing up for the rule of law when there are those seeking to skirt around laws in place and the guidelines that are set up to protect land use. We need this protection because there are those who are coveting something they want to the point of interfering with landowners' rights to conduct farming and maintaining privacy. This is where you stand as our vanguards against losing our established rights, against the onslaught of people crying that we are hurting them because it's what they want. Again, thank you for being on this board and representing the voice of those who have the most to lose, not just those fighting to get what they want, no matter the cost. Please remove the Yamhill Westside Trail and Rail Project from the TSP and stop the waste of taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to Ms. Kellington, I still have a Leona Todd that actually should be. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we'll go on to, we'll call up on deck Charles Van Genderen, and then go ahead and proceed with Ms. Kellington. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board, staff, members of the public who are attending. My name is Wendy Kellington. I am the attorney who represented some 45 farmers over several years and 5 successful LUBA appeals against the Yamhill Trail that resulted in numerous LUBA orders that declared that the county's attempts to develop the trail were wholly unlawful under Oregon's land use laws. Think of it this way. Garbage dumps are important and they're good things, but you can't just put them anywhere. This is, as many people have told you, a land use issue. And Oregon has important farm use, farm preservation laws that are there for a reason. It has important zoning laws that are there for a reason. We in our republic have all agreed that we will abide by those important farming laws, and that includes our government. When the Yamhill Trail was put into the county's transportation system plan, the county had no idea if it could be approved. The county didn't talk to the farmers most affected. Had they done so, we wouldn't even be here because they would have learned what I would have thought the county would have learned a long time ago, but that LUBA had to tell them that it was unlawful in the abandoned rail bed where it is situated. And so I urge you to support the recommendation in the staff report to remove the Yamhilis Trail from the transportation system plan because it is an illusory transportation project. It cannot be built, and it is the source of the most divisive issue that this county has, I think, ever faced. And you can put it to rest because maintaining it there keeps alive the false promise that it can someday be approved where it is located. It is located in the middle of important working farms that the evidence in the record, which I have put all of the LUBA records into this record in case we need to refer to them, that the record demonstrates if you put this trail in, you would destroy commercial working farms that are alongside it. People like to ignore that important fact, but that is a fact. It is documented in LUBA's decisions. If you were to develop this trail, you would only be able to do so at the sacrifice of working hazelnut farms, grass seed farms, and other farms in Oregon. And if you don't want to take my word for it, review the letter in the record from the Oregon Department of Agriculture that so says. It says if you put this trail in, those farmers will not be able to farm on entire fields.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go online. Please promote Leonard Rydell. And then on deck is going to be Christy Cook. Leonard Rydell. As soon as you're promoted, name and address, please.
This is me.
Leonard, go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Name and address, please.
Oh, thank you. My name is Leonard Rydell. I live at 601 East Pinehurst Drive. And I grew up in Grand Round. I'm a lifelong resident of Yamhill County. I've traveled quite a bit, but when I was a kid, I was a free-range kid because I rode my bicycle everywhere. I remember being up behind Saddle Mountain on a gravel road, racing overwide loaded log trucks down the road. I've ridden to the top of Spirit Mountain and all the logging roads. And I still ride a bike, but traffic has changed. I used to ride on Highway 22 and cars were infrequent, but now it's not safe. I've traveled a lot. I go back to Michigan, and Michigan has what they call the White Pine Trail, which is a White Pine Railroad that they put in. And you can ride on that. There's no traffic worries. You get to go between park and such. And I also ride the trail at Yamhill, or at the Shampooey State Park. It runs along the river. You can ride from the park to get ice cream cone at the Butteville store. Now we have this opportunity in Yamhill County, and we just seem to squandering it. Instead of getting rid of it out of the transportation plan, we should be putting it into the zoning plan. And it's a great opportunity for kids and family and people my age, almost 80, to be able to ride for a whole afternoon and not have to worry about being hit by a car. So if you don't want to build it right now, don't get rid of the property. Just put it in trust or something and save it for a future generation. But I strongly recommend that don't squander your opportunity by selling the property off. Keep the property for a future generation that will recognize the importance of having the Yamhilis Trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rydell. Up next on deck is going to be, I see we have an extra seat there, Todd Sadlow, and then we're going to go ahead with position number 1. Name and address, please.
Jack Friz, 9175 Northeast Newman Lane,
Newburgh, Oregon. 3 minutes goes fast. The proposed Yamhill West Sider Trail is and will be one of kind asset for Yamhill County citizens. My full submittal provides detail underlining my questions below. Please keep the trail into the TSP. Number 1, why did the staff report address just one goal and 4 policies in support of removal of the Yamhill Trail and not include other applicable goals and policies of the county's comprehensive plan? Why doesn't the staff report for this hearing specifically address and refute the goals and policies of the initial TSP trail adoption while noting what has changed and why those differences matter? Note that Oregon land use laws do allow for exceptions. So sections 10 and 2 of ORS 215-213 and ORS 215-283 lists the goal exception process as a vehicle for land use approval for roads, highways, and other transportation facilities. That was a quote. Just like for the Newburgh-Dundee bypass, why wasn't the exceptions process utilized to get approval for the YWT? Number 4, LUBA discussed the application of pesticides and rejected Yamhill County's proposed notification system for trail users. Given modern technology, there would be ways to provide protection for users and allow spraying to occur. One example would be automated and remote control gates and explicit signage for those that would try to use the trail during the spray times. Why in this day and age where we can see rocket boosters land on their tails and Alexa opening and unlocking doors, could not an innovative solution be proposed? Are there restrictions placed on the creativity of county staff? Number 5, nationally, Rails to Trails Conservancy and other groups have an enormous amount of information regarding the development, maintenance, security, and use of rails to trails. Why hasn't Yamhill County collaborated with these groups while on the path of gaining approval for the Yamhill Trail? It is unfortunate that in our current time, public discourse is at a point where every issue turns into an us versus them conflict. Reflecting on the bypass, recall that it was a project envisioned long ago in the early 1950s. Like any massive project, it had detractors. Over time, those issues were addressed, and while not everyone got exactly what they wanted, compromise was found and accepted. I will note that the bypass did go through some exclusive farming properties. Working through proper procedures, the bypass became a reality.
Sir, your time
This
is up.
same truth can be.
We're going to go ahead and move on. There is no more online commenters, so we will stick with just in person for now. On deck is going to be Craig Sowers, and then we're going to go ahead and proceed with position number 2. Name and address, please.
Good morning, commissioners and staff. My name's Alan Sitton. I reside at 13425 Northwest West Side Road, Carlton. I'm here to urge the removal of the trail from the Transportation Safety System Plan. It's a project that never should have been included. It started with the idea that there was no opposition, and I'm sitting here today to tell you that is untrue. Our family owns and farms south of Carlton on a piece of property that is bisected by the right-of-way. We farm on both sides. We were never notified. We were never approached. It was never discussed. The first time we had an opportunity was when the then commissioners held a hearing at the community center where the opposition was overwhelming. To then, the plan was to purchase the right-of-way. Again, with no plan for funding, no studies on economic development or cost, not how long it would take, not what it would require to mitigate farm impacts. In fact, we were told once the county buys it, they can do with it what they wish. They don't have to abide by the farm impacts test. They don't have to do a study. And subsequently, we had to hire a lawyer, and we had to sue the county with our money, fighting our money as Yamhill County taxpayers. It is unconscionable to me that those in charge did not take the time to learn what they didn't know, that Oregon land use law is robust. If you are a property owner in Oregon, you know you cannot do what you want to do on your property if it is not zoned for that use. Exclusive farm use is here to protect farmland that cannot be created. It is what it is. It exists as it is. Once it goes away, it goes away. And it would have been nice to discuss mitigation and working together in the beginning, but those that wanted the trail played hide the ball. They didn't want to discuss these things. I would like to think it was because they were ignorant of the law and not had malicious intent. But as we sit here today, it's hard to say that when it is no secret. We went to LUBA 5 times, as had been mentioned, and it was rejected 5 times, and the county chose to not pursue it any further, and it is time to remove it from the plan now and be done with it. Thank you.
Thank you. On deck is going to be John Nyberg, position 1. Go ahead. Name and address, please.
My name is Steve Witt. I live at 29250 Northwest Olson Road in Gaston, Oregon. I'm a farmer in the northern end of Yamhill County. I'm going to state up front, I would have no problem farming along the Yamahalis Trail right away. Again, I'm going to repeat that. I would have no problem farming along the Yamahalis Trail right away. In your 12-4 staff report, you listed only one reason why the TSP had to be, why the trail had to be removed from the TSP. You stated the trail would force them to the farm, it would force the farmers, quote unquote, to supply spray setbacks on their own lands and cease the use of certain pesticides, etc. Due to the fact that Yamhill County has not been able to make findings to satisfy the farm impacts test in 3 separate attempts, the majority of the Board of Commissioners initiated the removal of the trail from the TSP. I'm going to say right up front, spraying is not an issue. You just shut down the trail when the farmers need to spray. And this is done at a lot of different trails. It can be done. If other people can do it, so can we. I also want to say that we need this right away as a utility corridor. All the cities along this right of way are running low on water. In Washington County, they're bringing a huge pipeline in from the Willamette River. Am I saying that we need to do this now? I'm saying we need to look forward to the future. Next, I don't want the county wasting my money. Paying back $1.7 million to get rid of this right of way is crazy. Next, there's a lot of county citizen interest in this issue, a lot of interest. I am asking you to promote the citizen involvement and champion a vote on this issue. Let the people decide whether we keep or eliminate this right of way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Position 2, go ahead. And on deck, we're going to have Philip Forvey.
Marcia Baker, 11980 Highway 47, Carlton. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. This isn't about trails. It's about government integrity. I want to begin by clarifying something important. I am definitely not anti-trail. I support trails when they are planned responsibly, transparently, in a way that respects land use laws and community values. But this trail was not one of those projects. This project is not being removed because people don't like trails. It's being removed because the county failed to follow its own laws, ignored the requirements of Oregon's land use system, and mismanaged public funds repeatedly. For taxpayers like me, this is fundamentally an issue of government integrity. The county began constructing a bridge without having completed the conditional use process required for EFU land, without letting any of the farmers know what they were doing. It claimed there would be no negative farm impacts, even though affected farmers said otherwise. It attempted to justify a massive heavy-duty concrete bridge by saying it was needed for fire trucks, even though LUBA determined that argument lacked probable cause and was inconsistent with the county's own documents. The county lost those 5 LUBA cases in a row, something almost unheard of. LUBA had to issue stays to halt illegal construction. The county had to dismantle what it had built. It now needs to repay grant funds. It was ordered to pay attorney fees because of its unreasonable arguments. No one should be proud of that record, but what matters is that the county finally did the right thing in 2021. It ended the project. The remaining task, the only reason we are here, is to make the TSP reflect that decision. Leaving the Yamhills Trail in the TSP would signal to taxpayers that the county has not learned from past mistakes. It's willing to leave incorrect information in official documents. That it may try to revive the project someday, despite all the legal failures and public frustration. Removing the trail is not about relitigating past conflicts. It's about demonstrating that the county can correct their mistakes, take responsibility, and move forward with integrity. If the county wants to regain public trust, this is the kind of action that matters: clear, honest, transparent, and responsible. I ask you to remove the Yamhills West Sider Trail from the Transportation System Plan and put this to bed completely and quit wasting the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I begin?
Yes, name and address, please.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, members of staff, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you today. For the record, my name is Charles Van Genderen, and Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your pronouncing it correctly. I live in Dayton, Oregon. One thing, I agree with a number of the speakers, including Mr. Holland, who was your first online speaker, who said that there's some process issues here. And I think I'm going to say the one thing that maybe everyone in the room will agree with is the county has struggled with getting process right. And you're about to do so again in my observation. This process is moving too fast, and you don't have to pass this amendment right now. And it's not going to cost you any money. My observation is, as examples of why this is moving too fast, is that if you take this trail out of the transportation plan, you will be cutting bicycle pedestrian opportunities by about 80% that are identified in the plan. Right now, it's about 19 miles of bike ped opportunities. And when you take this out, you're going to be down to less than 4. That's an 80% reduction in bike ped opportunity. And that's significant, and it deserves more process and public engagement. It's important, and it's a violation of rules, statute, and code. The second point I want to make, and we're hearing a lot about from the ag community about the importance of this and our heritage. But this trail was built in 1870. Okay, it is our heritage. This piece of land is an artifact. We moved grain, walnuts, and lumber up to Portland on that. And we brought back oil and coal. We heated our houses with it. If in fact we abandon this line, this resource that is now public, we're going to be harming our agricultural heritage because we're not going to be able to show the place and tell the story. And that matters. It matters to our tourism economy, and it matters to our ag economy. And it should matter to everyone in this room. And we all agree on that, whether you're a recreator or an ag producer. The reality is this piece of ground is vital, and you've got yourselves in a pickle. But you don't have to do this today, and you don't have to do this fast. And with that, I'll close my remarks. Thank you for the work you're doing, but please be more mindful of the implications of what you're doing, because you're going to be back in front of LUBA again if you move too fast and don't do this right. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. On deck, Cheryl Patterson, please. Ms. Cook, go ahead. Name and address.
Good morning. My name is Christy Cook. My address is P.O. Box 1044, Newburgh, Oregon. I am pro-trail. I am not pro this trail. And I think that's a very important distinction. I heard someone say earlier, we want a trail like this. And I think that's important. Farms are not parks. When you drive by a quiet farm field on your way between towns, it may seem like nothing is going on there, but that farm is in production. It feels to me that after many, many times a request between the different parties to sit down and have a conversation, there have been refusals to sit down and talk by the pro-trail folks. They don't want to hear anything other than all of the positives to this idea. And I can appreciate that. There are lots of great reasons. I think if you asked every one of these farmers, they would say that they're pro-trail. They're just not pro this trail. It's changed from pro-trail to forced trail proponents. They're not coming to the table to discuss alternative ideas, and they're denying requests to meet. Instead, they're forcing their will without asking the consent of those who would bear the daily burdens of their recreational amusement. Ask your local parks managers how much time and money is spent cleaning damage to our parks. People steal large picnic tables. They actually take our picnic tables. They leave trash everywhere. They damage buildings. We heard this even last night. This is happening every single month in our county parks. The impact is real. The impact will be very real on the people that live nearby. I keep hearing about all these rich farmers, but if you look at the actual 2022 Census of Agriculture data released in 2024, the average net cash farm income per farm in Yamhill County was approximately $19,000. So it's not rich farmers. If you look at the map, these are small farms along this trail. There might be a couple larger ones, but a lot of them are small properties. So we all love trails. But it's time to start looking and considering the downsides and the real impact of these ideas, whether it be the new taxes that are being proposed or costly trail systems to nowhere with no loopbacks. People have to pay these very real ongoing expenses. People spend money on government taxes and programs. It's less money going to other projects. As a travel agent, I frankly would not recommend my clients going on this trail because it's not going to have the resources for them. It's not going to have the bathrooms. It's not going to have restaurants and the such. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Cook. Up next, on deck, we're going to have Paul Cuny and then Mr. Sadlow. Go ahead, name and address.
Todd Sadlow, 1532 Southeast 36th Avenue, Portland, Oregon, 97214. Chair Johnson and Commissioners, trails coexist with farming everywhere in this country. They are no different than roads. I was an attorney for 40 years, 13 of it for Yamhill County. I did a lot of land use in that time. I was the attorney in charge of purchasing the 15.25 miles of Union Pacific Rail Corridor, and I loved doing that. I also got to defend the title in court, and that was an exceptionally cool thing to do, with a pile of original deeds from the 1800s at the center of the controversy. Those farmers were paid for a right-of-way. They sold it to the railroad. I was then given the responsibility of seeking land use approval for the Yamhill Carlton segment of the trail. And again, I loved that part of my job, even more than working for the sheriff or the jail or appearing in circuit court or everything else that I had to do or was assigned to do. But I was remanded 3 times for a number of reasons on the land use in this case that I hope and trust did not include gross incompetence. For 16 years, I'd been in private practice, mostly in land use law, and I can assure you none of my clients would have caved at the point that a newly established majority pulled the plug on the project, tore up a bridge that had been planned and developed over years, and piled vitriol and nonsense on their own staff. It was a political hack job and one of the kind we have gotten used to nationally. Come home to Yamhill County. I had tried hard as had the prior board and county staff to do everything in my power to address every concern of the county's neighbors along the corridor. I was working on a shoestring and failed to address fully a handful of neighbor complaints, and I would have prevailed in a second remand. I wish it had not come to this day with a board majority seeking to kill the dream of a future Yamhill trail, but a retired man needs hobbies, and now you've given me one because I will do everything I can to stop you from taking this out of the comprehensive plan and dismantling it. The trail corridor belongs to the public. Trails and farming coexist and complement each other throughout this country, and it is bad public policy to dismantle an existing transportation corridor that could be the gem of Yamhill County and will be the gem someday after the effort of this current board is defeated. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on, I actually have one question. So next on deck is going to be Susan Day. Susan, do you want to just submit written, or do you also want to speak? Okay, thank you. So next on deck will be Susan, and up now is Craig Sowers. Name and address, please.
Thank you for your time. My name is Craig Sowers. I live on Withycombe Road in Yamhill. I guess for me, I don't know enough about the land use laws to know how that'll affect this in the future. To me, it comes down to our government is set up and different branches have different functions. A lot of people have spoke about the Banks Vernonia Trail and how nice it is. There's a reason that it is run by state parks and not Washington County. It's because everybody in this room has just the same amount of benefit as anybody from Beaverton or Loa. The county should have never bought this. People that were pushing for the trail should have had state parks buy it and not the county. Here lately, there seems to be a lot of talk about utilities corridor for Yamhill and Carlton. But to my knowledge, neither Yamhill or Carlton have reached out to the county to purchase this, so they have access to that right away. And that is all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you. On deck is going to be Mark Gabler. John Nyberg, go ahead, name and address.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is John Nyberg. Address is 21840 Northeast Sunnycrest Road in Newburgh. I'm a fourth generation farmer, and I still do farming. My dad was the writer of Senate Bill 100, which affects land use planning, and this is a question that's being challenged. I'm speaking on behalf of the farmers and what they have to face when something like this is next to their places. The Chehalis Park and Recreation District used to have a kayak launch at the end of 8th Street in Dundee. Well, that gate was open. People would drive down through there, but after they got through there, they'd drive out through the Filbert Orchard, drive across the irrigation pipes, out through the hay fields or grass seed fields that are all in that area. That has now been locked off, but it's still a walking trail. The thing that's happening though, when I was farming it, I sprayed for blackberries. I put up the signs, but a day or two later, somebody decided they'd touch one of the grass straw fields, or stacks that had already been baled. It's the damage that is being done by the users. We got the highways out there. Look at our mess alongside the highways, the litter. Let's see. The main thing that I'm concerned about is what's happening in these to the farmers. I've got a piece on Dop Road that people drive out in the middle of the field, get stuck. The litter that's there even includes sex toys. So now you got to think about those things also along this trail. So I urge you to oppose the purchase of this trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nyberg. Next on deck will be Nessa Hayes.
I like your metaphor of baseball. I'm looking forward to baseball season myself as a
Up
fan.
next is Philip Forvey. Go ahead.
Philip
Name
Forvey,
and address.
2089 Northwest Doral Street in McMinnville. I'd like to start with something that everybody in this room, I think, can agree on. We are taking time out of our day because we like Yamhill County and we care about its future. People on both sides of the issue feel that way. I also believe that we could all agree that we have 15 miles of land that has been unused and unproductive for far too long. For the 6 years that I have lived here, the trail has been framed as a choice between protecting farmland and creating recreation. Our community doesn't need to choose one or the other. We can design a solution that respects both, and that's been talked about a little bit already today. That means listening to farmers and trail advocates to create a shared space that works for everyone. Farmers have an absolute right to operate without interruption, trespass, or any liability with respect to the trail. For trail users, it means safe access, good signage, and the chance to enjoy the landscape, learn about our heritage, which was spoken to previously, and the hard work of producing food and seeds without disrupting it. By treating agriculture and recreation as allies, as we should, and not as opponents, we protect our rural identity, and we create a trail that reflects our Yamhill County values. A creative solution isn't compromise for compromise's sake, it's innovation. It's choosing both instead of either or. And if we do it together, this trail can become something that we're all proud of and is a role model for the rest of the country. I ask that for now, we protect the right-of-way in the TSP, and I'm willing to work to put together small groups of farmers. I worked with farmers my whole life. I respect them, have a tremendous amount of respect for the work that they do in feeding not just our country, but the world. Putting them together with advocates of the trail to work out the details. Let's scrub the past. Some errors were made in the past, but we can come up with innovative solutions that work for everybody. I really appreciate the work you guys do for Yamhill County, the time you commit to it, and appreciate the opportunity to make this comment. And I do ask that you do keep the trail in the TSP for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Forbay. On deck, I'm going to call up Cal Peterson, and up next for comment is Cheryl Patterson. Go ahead, name your address.
My name is Cheryl Patterson. I live in Lafayette, Oregon. The staff report provides that since it's difficult to acquire the last 2.82 miles of the segment of the trail from Carlton towards McMinnville due to potential farming impacts, the entire project should be scrapped. What about just developing the 12.5 miles of the trail corridor you already own? That alignment parallels Highway 47, and this off-street transportation improvement is needed to provide a safe route between the towns of Gaston, Cove Orchard, Yamhill, and Carlton for the students and families. The need for this project is identified in the Transportation Systems Plan. There are federal and state grants available to fund construction and maintenance. It's not a funding issue. The farms along the existing railroad corridor have already had to adapt their farming practices since they do not own that land. The county can't completely eliminate this planned trail without identifying an alternative pedestrian and bicycle improvement project which meets the needs of the residents in the county. The claim in the staff report is that the county could pursue other projects. The time to identify those other projects is now, before you eliminate the trail, the Yamhill Westsider Trail. Amending the TSP without proposing an alternative project would violate the county's comprehensive plan and state land use laws. The county needs to first confer with the affected towns along Highway 47 that'd be impacted by the loss of this needed transportation and recreational improvement to determine if there are viable alternatives from completely eliminating the trail. The county also needs to first consult with the state to determine if this planned trail should become an extension of the existing Banks-Veromino State Trail. The proposed action is reckless, it's unlawful, and it's not in the best interest of the citizens of this county. Thank you.
Thank you. On deck is going to be Lindsay Bershauer,
Hello, my name is Susan Day. I live at 285 West First Street in Yamhill. I moved here 38 years ago. I bought a house for $25,000. I had little children. They went through the school system, and it would have been wonderful to have a bike trail between Yamhill and Carlton. They're now 36 and 39 years old, and there's still no trail. I think there have been some major mistakes along the way for this trail, and there have been many people that would like time to correct those mistakes, and I'm included as one of them. Although I was involved in the trail when it started, I didn't get re-involved until recently when the possibility of selling that land became obvious. I would beg you to please consider the future, not today, not what's going on right today. Let's start over and talk to the farmers and the people that want to keep the trail in this area and come up with a solution that can work for everybody. I don't know if you're aware that the Salmonberry Trail that's on the coast has just gotten a grant to develop, and that's a trail that eventually we could connect to them and be able to have recreation here all the way to the coast. The possibilities are endless, but to shut the door at this point is so wrong. I hope you'll open your minds and reconsider what you're about getting rid of this trail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On deck, I have Lindsay Burschauer. And then we're actually a little bit out of order because I'm missing Paul Cuny somewhere.
I don't think he's, I haven't seen him.
Okay. Up next, then I have Mark Gabler.
Okay.
Name and address, please.
Mark Gabler, 8350 Northeast Hendricks Road, Carlton, Oregon. I'm going to take a little bit different approach to this because I don't think some people realize what these farm impacts can actually they can do. So to some degree, the same kind of people that are in favor of this trail were the same people that actually used farm impacts to shut down the dump. They did this, with the land use laws. The actual shutdown of the landfill cost the county roughly $1.8 to $2.2 million a year in revenue. Now these same pro-trail people want to disregard the farm impacts along this trail because it doesn't fit their narrative. I offer any pro-trail person to show me how this trail will generate an average of $2 million for this county on an annual basis. If you want a trail or a dump, I don't see where you get both. I would say that if this trail ultimately ends up going through because you circumvent the land use system, waste management will fire back up and you will end up also having to dump back in this county. On another note, I want to clear up a few misconceptions. I am not a landowner along that trail. I farm a piece of ground for 15 years along that trail, and I'm not the chairman of the planning commission. I filled in because John Abrams was gone that night. And lastly, I want to thank Mary for all your service.
Thank you. On deck, I have Alana Pass. And speaking right now is Nessa Hayes. Name and address, please.
My name is Nessa Hayes. My address is 20375 Highway 47, Yamhill. Chair and Commissioners, first I want to thank you for your service to this community. I'm a Yamhill County resident and I live near the trail. For transparency, I serve as chair of the Parks Advisory Board, which I have served on for 10 years. Though I am not speaking on behalf of that board today, I am speaking only for myself. I also want to note that the Board of Directors of Outdoor Education Adventures, the outdoor science education program for which I am co-founder and co-director, has voted unanimously to support preserving the Amhalis West Sider Corridor and to oppose its removal from the Transportation System Plan. I am here to urge you not to remove this corridor from the YCTSP. This corridor has existed as a public transportation right-of-way since 1872. For more than 150 years, it has served as a continuous north-south alignment, not farmland. Removing it from the transportation system plan or selling it off in pieces would permanently eliminate a public asset that can never be reassembled. I understand that there has been disagreement about recreational trail use, and I recognize that under current conditions, that issue is challenging. But the decision before you today is not about whether a trail should be built now. It is about whether Yamhill County will preserve a rare corridor that could serve future public needs, including water infrastructure, sewer, power, broadband, emergency access, and other utilities for growing communities like Carlton, Yamhill, Cove Orchard, and other rural surrounding areas. It is also about preserving the possibility that future residents may want or need safe, non-motorized transportation options that reduce reliance on cars and improve access for people of all ages and abilities. We also need to acknowledge that agriculture changes over time. Various crops have been dominant in this valley over the years, including plums, cherries, peaches, grass seed, and now hazelnuts. We cannot know what crops will dominate in the future or what new farming practices or technologies may emerge. Long-range planning should not be locked to a single moment in agricultural history. Keeping this corridor in the transportation system plan commits the county to nothing today. It simply preserves flexibility so future generations can make informed decisions based on the conditions they face, not just the ones we face now. So I ask you, what public benefit is gained by destroying an asset purchased with public funds for public use? And what obligation do we have to the residents who will live here 50 or 100 years from now? Please keep the Yamhill West Sider Corridor in the Yamhill County Transportation System Plan. Preserving options is the wisest, most responsible choice you can make. Thank you again.
On deck will be Kurt Breitzer, and up next is Cal Peterson. Name and address, please.
Yeah, I'm Cal Peterson. I live at 24125 Northeast Wapato School Road. The trail bisects right down the middle of our property. And in our time being on this property, we've never had one person come out and visit with us and talk to us about how this trail would affect us. So with all the talk of different farm practices, we are completely organic. We don't own any sprayers, nothing. We use animals to do 90% of the work when it comes to that kind of stuff. And then we use mechanical stuff to rip out blackberries when the goats won't eat them all. But that being said, no one's come out and talked to us about how it would affect our daily practices. We move our cattle every day. We move our pigs once a week, goats, horses, whatever we're using, how we're strip grazing them. That's never been talked about with anybody on how it would affect us to have people walking through, bikes or a train going through on a regular basis. So for me, I think we should remove it. I think the land should go back to the farmers. But that's my personal opinion. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up on deck will be Ellen Hoffman, and up now will be Ms. Bershauer. Name and address, please.
Thank you, Chair Johnston, Commissioners Starrett and King. My name is Lindsay Bershauer. I live in McMinnville, and I'm a former Yamhill County Commissioner with direct experience dealing with the Yamhill West Sider Trail proposal and its legal failures. Commissioner King, you recently signed a pledge stating that you will protect the Yamhill West Sider Trail corridor for the purpose of future use. Yet during your campaign, you told voters in front of me during a public debate, and I quote, "It's important to keep in mind private property rights and how these projects affect your neighbors. I don't see, as it stands, a path forward for it. I don't see how I can help that trail, so that's why I would rather work on things that have a real process," end quote. I suppose the convenient part for you is that this project will likely never happen. so you will never be forced to answer the hard questions honestly. Questions like how the county would satisfy the farm impacts test on every parcel along the corridor, how a master plan would be funded, how construction, maintenance, security, and emergency access would be paid for, and how the county would partner with TriMet for the stated future purpose of this corridor, which is commuter light rail. You know who did have to answer those questions? Commissioner Sterrett and I did. In 2021, after numerous remands from LUBA, the county was told plainly that it had not met Oregon's land use requirements. We faced the reality that there were no honest answers. We stopped the project because the law required it, not because it was politically convenient. That decision wasn't easy. It wasn't rewarding. There's no ribbon. There's no trailhead sign with our names on it. There's no legacy paid for by the taxpayers. But I sleep well knowing that we stood up for individual private property rights and governed responsibly, even in the face of intense pressure. I do regret one thing. I pushed for a fiscal audit of this project, and I wish I had pushed harder. If we had done that audit, taxpayers would know exactly how many millions were wasted on this boondoggle before it was finally stopped. Now, a word about this pledge you signed. The corridor was acquired using Federal Transportation Alternatives Program funds administered through ODOT. Those funds are tied to transportation performance, not passive ownership. If this project is formally removed from the TSP and no viable transportation use exists, and there won't be, the county risks a finding of non-performance and potential repayment of approximately $1.7 million. Your pledge is not symbolic. It would require this board to find $1.7 million somewhere else in the county budget to hold land that won't even be open to the public and cannot be lawfully developed. That is not acceptable, and it's not a county priority. This trail has caused deep division in Yamhill County, and I've been fighting it for 5 years. Commissioner Sterrett, 12.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On deck will be Brian Schmidt.
Hi there. My name's Alana Pass. I live in Newberg, Oregon. Joni Mitchell once sang in her song Big Yellow Taxi in 1970. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. Okay, here we are. Let's not let this treasure go and just go to farmland. We'll never get it back. There have been stacks of petitions, letters, and community involvement from citizens supporting the trail. No matter, during the Planning Commission's meeting in December, the vast majority of the 200 attendees supported the trail. The commissioners, most of them farmers, didn't even bother to deliberate and voted to remove the trail from the transportation plan. Where's the fire? Why does this have to be done now? Well, I know I waited 2.5 hours to give my oral testimony. My written testimony most certainly met with the delete button before it was read. Here we are, round 2. Eliminating the West Sider Trail from the TSP is an extremely short-sighted, selfish act that would benefit only the farming interests, removing this perceived thorn from their side. Now, right now, the farmers farm on either side of an old railroad bed. If the trail were there, the farmers would sign on either side of a trail. Not a whole lot of difference. There's people going to be walking and cycling by. I don't think they have in their minds destroying property.
Excuse me.
Here is an example, another example of short-sighted thinking. In the early 60s, Newberg business interests fought against the Highway 18 bypass, while McMinnville voted for it. Now, McMinnville has a vibrant downtown. In contrast, Newberg has Highway 99 dominating their downtown and has been playing catch-up ever since. The current bypass proposal is 20 times more expensive and way more complicated than if it was constructed decades ago. Let me remind you that you were voted in to represent all citizens of Yamhill County, not just your personal ideology or the agricultural lobby. Compromise, I heard that word for the first time this morning. There can be compromises to satisfy the farmers, to satisfy the recreational interests. We can come together. Let's try it before we sell this resource off. You also have an obligation to think about the future and the health and well-being of all the county citizens. This is the people's land, including mine. Remember, you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Thank you. On deck, we'll have Brady Drew.
I am
Name
Mark
that-
Kreitzer,
name and-
430 Northeast Corona Road, Yamhill. Thank you, commissioners. Your staff report says you want to remove the trail because you can't meet the farm impacts test after 3 tries. 3 tries is not a legal standard. Oregon's land use laws are prized, they're valuable, they're important. That makes it not trivial, it's complicated. None of us are land use experts. Mistakes will be made, mistakes have been made. The process is meant to be iterative. The LUBA remand is exactly that process. LUBA didn't say it's impossible for the trail to be compatible with EFU. One of the county's arguments was we can close the trail for 72 hours. LUBA was actually supportive of that argument. Their objection, agreeing with the farmers, was that the specificity of 72 hours was not fully justified. Go back, do more homework. Maybe we need more support, maybe a longer time period, maybe the farmers need control, but a way forward is there. If the county believes it is impossible to meet the farm impacts tests, please clearly state that and give the justification and support for that. That has not been given yet. Even more importantly, we have an issue of precedent. Do you really want to set the precedent, a legal precedent, that, oh, if you try 3 times, we're done, an issue is dead? That would bring all issues of the county in the future. It would prioritize delays and obfuscations over meeting the rule of law. It would be a nightmare. It would actually hurt our valuable farmer land use laws. You'd be saying, LUBA is not about a process to make sure that we meet the law. It would be whoever has the most money to have the most appeals, to get to 3 appeals and we're done. Or whoever has the most perseverance and time and doesn't say, oh, I'm tired, this is hard, I'm going to stop. That is not the right precedent to set for the county or the state. Another thing that matters is timing, the urgency of this. I see that we now have multiple citizens initiatives on the trail issue. Rushing to that raises some dubious questions. As leaders, you're our leaders, you're our stewards, you're our role models for our youth. You're responsible for making sure there are no acts of impropriety and no appearances of acts of impropriety. Right now, acting today is premature to remove the trail from the TSP. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On deck, we're going to have Elena Madrak. And right now, we have Ellen Hoffman. Name and address, please.
My name is Ellen Hoffman. I live at 23,000 Northeast Ridge Road in Gaston, in the northern part of Yamhill County. Thank you to the commissioners for this opportunity. I am in favor of removing the project known as the Yamhill Westsider Trail from the YCTSP. My reasons are as follow. As a resident of northern Yamhill County, living within a few miles of the Highway 47 and Flet Road intersection, we often encounter serious road crashes that close this intersection. This intersection has no shoulders or turn lanes, and the speed limit is supposedly 55 miles an hour on 47. The Yamhill Westsider Trail is immediately adjacent to this intersection, parallel to Highway 47, and crosses Flet Road in a north-south direction. Without considerable changes to the infrastructure of this intersection, there would likely be an increase in crashes. Vehicles transitioning from Highway 47 to Flet would need to wait until the path is clear before they could continue on to Flet Road. Where would the vehicles that are on Flet Road approaching the Highway 47 stop sign, where would they park while they, not park, where would they wait while they're waiting for the road to clear? They would be parking on the trail or on the commuter rail line. The Yamlis Westsider Trail includes commuter and or freight rail potential. In addition to the concern for safety at this intersection, this rail line passes through the the Wapato Lake National Wildlife Refuge. The WLNRWR website details the conservation efforts for the protection and restoration for specific key federally and state recognized species. The trail rail location begins traversing this refuge on the north side of Flet Road all the way through Gaston. Can this be approved? It's probably not likely. In addition to this email that I sent, I would like to add, I own 40 acres of EF farmland. I would hope that the commission would respect those guidelines for land use. And further, in reference to an earlier comment about respecting our republic, 250 years ago, our forefathers knew the difference between a republic and a democracy. They knew that a democracy was two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. Please end this now. Thank you.
Thank you. On deck, we're going to have Matt Dolphin. Come on up. And right now we have Brian Schmidt. Name and address, please.
Hello, Chair Johnson. Brian Schmidt, 7580 Northeast Hendricks Road, Carlton, Oregon. So I've been a part of this for 11 years, and I want to thank Mary, who's stuck it out all along, fighting so hard in the minority often. And the Planning Commission, before this one, actually voted to not recommend this, but the current BOC went ahead anyways, and then we had all that LUBA stuff. So I want to thank you guys for bringing this up to the table, and I realize you're just following through with court orders. Basically, like if you wanted to reopen the dump, well, sorry, you can't. The court's already settled that. So I want to thank you all and maybe comment on a few things. So Banks, Vernonia, it's really nice up at Vernonia where it's all forest. There's a campground there and they just travel a little bit down. But if you go further towards Banks, that's farmland. There's a lot of drama there. The Parks Department bought that, and then this landowner said, get off our property, you don't own this. And then they had to buy it again after suing their own citizens. And then there was all kinds of drama with the dairy, their irrigation pipe getting run over, people having intercourse out in the crops. And then the trail was growing tall trees and shading out the corn. And then one of the guys who lived there cut down some of the trees so his corn could actually grow for silage for his cows. And then the Oregon State Department fined him for defaming state property or something like that. It's just a bunch of garbage, in my opinion, growing way too far over the fence. Anyhow, then they put up signs and, anyhow, there's a lot of drama there. And then I pulled the 911 records for that. And there's a lot of people losing their dogs. That's the main thing that got. And then if you go down to Albany, the same thing like this in Yamaha County happened in Albany about 15 years ago. Their ODOT board that gives out money for this gave out money to them. They bought an expired easement, which was nothing. They bought nothingness. And the farmers had to get together. And now the county down there is on the hook to repay, just like we are, repay grant money that was given. These are supposed to be shovel-ready grants, so I don't know why this MWAC board is giving out grants for projects that aren't permitted, aren't shovel-ready. That's a separate thing. Anyhow, my main comment is thank you so much, Mary, for keeping through all this and for holding up to both sides and just looking at the law, reading it, and following the law. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On deck, I'm going to call up Carla Chambers. And we have Brady Drew. Go ahead, name and address.
My name is Brady Drew. I live at 20005 Northwest Goodrich Road in Yamhill. It's a pleasure to be here with the ladies and gentlemen of the board. I am here actually visiting in between classes that I'm taking at George Fox University. I am there studying as a senior civil engineering major. And I believe I have three important perspectives that I'd like to share with you all. First, I'd like to share my perspective as a bicyclist and a runner. For obvious reasons, I think the trail would be fantastic for that. My second perspective is as the son and my family is a farmer in Yamhill, the city of Yamhill. We farm hay not too far from the proposed right-of-way. And I think it's important to acknowledge that farmers have been deeply disrespected so far. Their concerns are valid, and frankly, the issues facing this trail are real. Third, I would like to offer my perspective as a senior civil engineering student with months of experience in the professional industry as well. I'm very familiar with the road system of Yamhill County, familiar enough to know that there simply is no alternative route or right-of-way similar to this proposed trail. There are no future possibilities of making new rights-of-way like this. Simply, these are situations that come and go if not utilized. So I'd like to use an analogy for the potential of this decision today. Of course, we are all at the precipice of a door that's open, unlocked, and we hold in our hands the key. That decision today will decide whether or not we keep the door open and more or less nothing changes about our position at the precipice of the door. We still have a lot of decisions to make and problems to resolve. But the alternative is to lock the door and throw away the key. I promise you that future generations and generations will remember that decision and wish that they at least had the key to look through this door again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On deck, we're going to have Craig Markham. And then up now we have Alina. Name and
Hi.
address, please.
Elena Mudrak, McMinnville, Oregon. According to the Oregon Planning Handbook, it is required that planning commissioners provide recommendations that are thoroughly evaluated and reasoned. At the Planning Commission concerning docket G-125, the Planning Commission did not deliberate. Governing bodies in Oregon are required to apply state and local planning goals and laws when making decisions that alter state-mandated planning documents, such as the TSP. Not a piece of code, ordinance, or legislation otherwise was cited by the Planning Commission in the recommendation or in the preceding discussion. I object to the Board of Commissioners to carry this issue at this time. From a recent article in the News Register, I quote, "County Commissioners approve Grange Estate permit." A little excerpt, the application wound through 3 levels of state court before being remanded to the county by LUBA. Remanded to the county to clarify. A remand by LUBA, as accepted here by the Board of Commissioners, is not an end to a project. With LUBA remands, there are ways to problem solve. There is no precedent and no legitimate reason for the removal of the Yamhill West Sider Trail from the county's TSP. Recently, a week and a half ago, Mayor Morris of McMinnville spoke to the importance of the completion of the bypass as an avenue to support farmers and MAC's future employment district. It's easy to extend those arguments and similar arguments to an intact Yamhill West Sider Trail corridor, whether it be for foot traffic or other connectivity. As mentioned numerous times, there are simply no equivalent corridors. And again, pertaining to ORS 366-514, we must identify alternatives. This contiguous corridor to the future of Yamhill County for public infrastructure, diversification, and preservation of our economy and public lands is imperative. With a crash rate of over 200%, that of similar facilities across the state for many of our county roads, we need to better protect people and leave the Yamhill West Sider Trail in the county TSP. None of our families are immune to vehicular accidents. County TSP goals include providing for safety of all transportation modes, providing equitable, balanced, and connected multimodal transportation system, increasing the quality and availability of pedestrian and bicycle facilities, and providing a transportation system that conserves energy and protects and improves the environment. This is about public safety, public infrastructure, accessibility for those that cannot or do not drive. This is about shared economic growth for a county that is struggling across the board. We need to keep public lands respect the county TSP and leave the Yamhill West Sider Trail in the county TSP. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On deck, we're going to have Naomi Barton.
Chair and Commissioners, my name is Matt Dolphin. I am a Yamhill County resident and taxpayer at 16870 Northeast Mountain Home Road, Sherwood, Oregon. I want to be clear about what this comment is and is not. This is not about whether a specific trail permit should be approved today. It is about the county's obligation under state law when it amends its transportation system plan. The action before you is a legislative amendment to the TSP. When the county decides not to pursue a project that is part of its adopted transportation system, Oregon's transportation planning rule requires more than simply deleting that project from the plan. Specifically, when a TSP project is removed, the county must evaluate whether the transportation needs that project was intended to serve will still be met in some other manner consistent with the plan. And the TSP must continue to provide a connected bicycle and pedestrian network. What is missing from the proposal before you is that evaluation. The Yamhill West Sider Trail Corridor was included in the TSP to address documented bicycle and pedestrian safety and connectivity needs in a rural area where separated facilities are extremely limited. The staff report explains why permitting the trail has been difficult, but it does not analyze how the transportation system plan continues to meet those underlying needs once the corridor is removed. There is no system-level analysis, no replacement concept, and no finding that the bicycle and pedestrian network remains adequate after the deletion. Past litigation, land use constraints, or permitting challenges may be relevant background, but they do not substitute for the findings required when amending a transportation system plan. If the county believes the original alignment is not workable, state law requires an evaluation and alternatives or replacement facilities, not simply deletion without analysis. The transportation system plan is not an aspirational document. It is the county's adopted framework for providing a safe, connected, and multimodal transportation system over time. Removing a major bicycle and pedestrian corridor without the required evaluation and finding undermines the framework and places the county at legal risk. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the board to either decline to adopt the amendment as drafted or continue the matter and direct staff to complete the analysis required by state law before taking action. I'd like to add that if we cannot figure out a way for recreation and agriculture to coexist in this county,
Your time is up.
we have
Thank
a
you very
bigger
much.
problem
Up
with
next
our
is going to
park
be
because we're all
Carla
next to
Chambers. Carla, do you
all
want
next
to,
farmland. Thank
so we're a little bit out of order. So Naomi, are you Naomi? So I didn't recognize that you only wanted written testimony. Okay, so hold tight. Carla, you're actually before Naomi, so if you want to go first. Oh. So we're gonna, just as a announcement, we're gonna go ahead and go through these two commenters, and then we're gonna take a break for, how long a break you guys want to take? You guys okay with 15 minutes? I have,
What do we got here?
I have 5 more comment sheets. So I'd say just a short break and then we can
Yeah.
get through them.
And I want to make sure that if anybody hopped on online,
There's no hands raised online.
okay, we haven't said in a little bit, but
If you're wanting to give comment, raise your hand online. Okay.
yeah, I think 15 is great.
Commissioners King, Johnston, and Mary Starrett, and staff. I'm asking myself, what's the hurry?
Excuse me, just real quick, name and address, please.
Oh, Carla Chambers, 2984 Southwest 2nd in McMinnville. Why must this corridor be removed from the TSP right now? Isn't there time to address the issue of farm impact if the county took the lead and did a more transparent and thorough job than the last time? My husband's family has farmed continuously in the Amity area after arriving on the Oregon Trail in the 1850s. I've been a farmer, both wine grapes and apples, in Yamhill County for 32 years. I'm familiar how both of my farms impacted my neighbors, and I always engaged in acceptable practices and good communications to avoid any conflicts. My testimony today will focus on two areas: tourism benefit and recreation and the link to the county park system. An economic travel impact study prepared for Travel Oregon states that in 2024, visitors spent $161 million in Yamhill County alone. Their average stay was 2.2 days. I'm thinking if they stayed one more day to do one more activity that's not wine tasting, because that can get old after a while, that it could bring increased revenue to the county and support local jobs. When considering the recreation factor, I'll reference the recently adopted Yamhill County Park System Plan. This plan is a public document found on the park pages of the county website. While I am a member of the Yamhill County Parks Advisory Board, I'm presenting this testimony as an individual resident, not as a representative of the Parks Board. So some recreational factors regarding removal of the corridor. I think it would hamper the ability to achieve two of the goals identified in the Park System Plan. Those goals are distinctive parklands and experiences and responsible recreation tourism. It would remove a large opportunity for walkers and hikers, which was listed as the #1 most popular activity by survey respondents. It would remove alignment with the plan's focus on strategic land ownership. And it would maintain the poor comparison of county parkland to our neighboring counties. Per 1,000 residents, Yamhill County has 13% of the parkland compared to Benton County and 11% of the parkland in Lynn County. Our neighbors are doing much better than we are. The corridor could eventually become parkland if we successfully address the farm impact issues identified in the 2020 LUBA decision. In closing, I encourage Yamhill County to publicly share its reasons for removal of the corridor. It seems it's been a bit of a hurry. Couldn't this issue be referred to the voters? Can't we take some time to do better? What's the hurry?
Thank you. Naomi, go ahead. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Naomi Allen Barton. I'm a homeowner at 2725 Northeast Leathers Lane here in McMinnville. So up in the northeast corner, that is, plausibly within biking distance of where this trail is being proposed. I am a mother of 4 kids who love to bike, hike, trail, rollerblade, roller skate, all of the outdoor recreation kind of things that would be available if this trail were to be implemented and we move forward on it. I'm supportive of recreational activities here in Yamhill County that are free and accessible to our youth. I am an educational transition specialist working with youth who come through the Yamhill Juvenile Detention. And so it is my experience in the years that I've been doing this work that getting kids engaged in recreation outside, getting them engaged in their community and a part of some sort of activities that could be provided by this trail, they are hugely beneficial. And it significantly decreases our rates of recidivism of these kids coming back into juvenile detention once they are engaged in their community and active in recreational activities. That being said, I'm not here to dismiss the feelings of any of the farmers or any of the people who would be negatively impacted if this trail were to move forward. My biggest concern is the way that this matter is being handled. I am against pulling it from the plan at this time because from my understanding, this was purchased by the county. And if it was purchased by the county, I think that our community should have more of a say in what happens with it. I understand that the ambiguity that's being presented by the Pro Trails group is scary. I mean, the idea of it potentially becoming a light rail in the future spooks a lot of people. The financial burden of that, or the potential financial burden of it on our community, isn't something to be overlooked. So yes, I am pro trail. I am not necessarily pro this trail, but I am pro handling the situation the right way, which means giving our community a chance to vote about it. Let our community be heard. I mean, let's do it the right way. If we're going to get rid of it, let's discuss alternatives, figure out a way that we can meet in the middle, or move forward in a different direction instead of just dismissing it altogether.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Everybody good with 10 minutes? Let's shoot for 10 minutes. So we'll see everybody back here at 12:15. Thank you. You did really good. No helpers, no food. Your new job really restricted you a lot, didn't it? All right, welcome back. It's 12:15. We're going to continue this public hearing. And I want to do another warning for the online. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have comment that you want to make. Up at the commenting podium, is this Craig? Okay, so I'll make sure I clear that up. On deck, I just want to do one more call for Paul Cuny. Another on deck is going to be Melody McMaster. Come on up to the front row, or actually, you can actually just go ahead and take a seat, Melody. And then on deck is going to be Kate Beavers. And then let's pull one more on deck, Marilyn Blen. And with that, Craig, take it away with name and address.
Commissioners, I'm Craig Markham from Dundee. I'll be brief. I support keeping the Yamhalis West Sider Trail in the plan and oppose removing it. I've already submitted some written comments, and I will let those stand as they are and not repeat them. I'm just incredulous that we should be here today having to defend an heirloom property, public property, from our own commissioners. That is just so surreal. I just can hardly believe it. I'm an 82-year-old bicyclist. This old fart still gets around on a bicycle. And I will be knocking on doors of your constituents and probably discussing the outcome of this hearing today. I think that we're here today with, having put the legacy to our future generations at risk, not knowing exactly what the circumstances that they will face will be. But in the absence of the reservation of this corridor, they could very well be spending a whole lot more resources to reacquire something that we have just pizzled away if we let it go now. We really need to retain this. It's not going to cost us to retain it in the plan. And in taking it out of the plan is a rather bald-faced prelude to selling it off. And if it's sold off, as you've already heard many times, it's going to put an end to it. I can understand how people living along the route, with it next to them on a daily basis for all these years, may have gained a sense of ownership. Some of them have even not exactly legally used it for their own driveway, for parking lot, for bus parking in Yamhill. But I think we need to remind people that this remains public property.
Thank you. So the last one that's going to come up on deck is going to be John Sheridan. Mrs. McMaster, go ahead. Name and address,
Hello,
please.
my name is Melody McMaster, Newburgh, Oregon, and I have been a Yamhill County resident since 1981. If the West Side or Yamhills Trail was a reality for pedestrians, equestrians, and bicyclists, it could bring Yamhill County possibly more than $1 million a year in economic benefits, a trail that would use land already owned by the public. The Banks Vernonia Trail is recognized as a national recreation trail and is estimated to generate $1.5 million annually for surrounding communities. In contrast, the Yamhills Trail currently generates no economic benefit for businesses in our county, but it could. The West Side or Yamhills Trail would protect farmland by creating economic opportunity without legally taking land away from farmers and without converting land for new commercial development. The corridor already exists and it is already public land. The opportunity is already there. Commissioner Johnston, you recently rode the Banks Vernonia Trail. See any homeless, lots of garbage? I doubt it. Didn't it feel safe, perhaps safer than riding on Highway 47 between Carlton and Yamhill? Did you stop to eat or make another stop that supported a local business? And how far did you have to drive to access that trail compared to what it would be if you could ride directly on the West Side or Yamhills Trail? Commissioner Starrett, why do farmers keep stating that no one has talked to them? You have been a commissioner for 12 years. It's worrisome. It feels deeply unfair that it would just take two people, perhaps Commissioner Starrett and Commissioner Johnston, to vote to remove the West Side or Yamhills corridor from the transportation system plan. And to whose benefit? I have heard that some farmers adjacent to the trail are already using this public land for their own farming purposes. If that is true, it is not surprising that they are fighting so hard to prevent it from being a public trail. In the 1800s, farmers along this corridor strongly supported its use as a railroad because it reduced transportation costs and supported their economic livelihoods. Today, that same publicly owned corridor has the potential to provide meaningful economic benefits to their neighbors who own local businesses. The corridor itself can definitely serve a broader community interest within Yamhill County, but only if it continues to belong to all of us. I participated in the Yamhill Planning Commission's meeting, who were appointed by you. They made a decision within minutes. I'm scared you will too. Maybe it's time to make a necessary change. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody. Up next, we have Kate Beavers. Yes. Okay, thank you. Yep, Kate, go ahead. Name and address, please.
Marilyn Blinn. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you, commissioners. I am a staunch supporter of the trail. I have worked in public outreach for education for many years. I am also, I didn't give my address. Sorry.
Go ahead.
14665 Northwest Oak Ridge Road, Yamhill. I am a multi-generational farmer. I have 30 organic acres. I do understand some of the farmers' concerns. I wish my farm was on the trail. I would make hay with it. You can believe it. But my concern is, and I'm against removing the trail from the transportation system bill or whatever it is. Because it can open the door to losing this very important corridor for our children, our grandchildren, future needs. I see that the trail corridor is really needed for infrastructure access. The little towns, our little towns are starving for water. We need ways to get utilities into them. We already own this corridor, and it should be maintained for future use by the people. I would like to see any decisions on the trail to be postponed until after the voters can vote on it in some way. I have been involved with the, educational outreach on the trail for many, many years out in the public. And I can tell you that a vast majority of the people that I have talked to that were aware of the trail are for it. They want this trail for their children and their grandchildren and all the multitude of uses that can be made of it. And I do believe with cooperation and creativity, ingenuity, we can work out these issues that trouble so many people. And I think it's your responsibility to see that that door stays open for us to work together and move forward to develop this very important resource that we already own. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I still have a Kate Beavers. I also have a John Shepherd. We're going to go, that's final call for those two. Go ahead and go online and promote Valerie, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, name and address, please.
Okay, Valerie Blaha. Sorry, it got me during lunch. 724 Northeast Autumn Ridge Drive in McMinnville. Thank you for the opportunity to give public testimony. I already did write a letter, but I wanted to just make a brief life comment. I am strongly in favor of keeping the trail corridor within the transportation plan. I understand that landowners have concerns about the trail. I owned a farm with my husband west of Yamhill and Carlton for 16 years. I was very impressed with one of the commenters in the packet that was released, the packet of all the with all the detailed comments for today. He included a compatibility study about a proposed trail in Santa Paula, California. I highly encourage everyone to check it out. It's in the packet. I believe it's page 63, unless that's changed since this morning. It's extremely detailed in reviewing all of the relevant literature about similar trails next to high-value farmland and what was done to mitigate the concerns of the landowners. I feel very strongly that what happened in the case of the Yamhills Trail was not that Luba said, shut the door on this and said, absolutely no way. That's a mischaracterization. What happened was that they came back recognizing that there were concerns, and our commissioners at the time stopped the process. What did not happen was the process of mitigating those landowners' concerns. If you read through the Santa Paula document, there are so many trails next to high-value farmland where there were landowner concerns. Those concerns were mitigated by a number of different steps. So I want to just encourage the commission again to keep the trail corridor in the transportation plan for the future of our county and our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, just so we can make sure that everybody's had the chance to give comment and to speak, we're going to set the timer for 3 minutes, and we'll all just sit here and have awkward silence. I do also still have two. They did not put on here whether they wanted to give verbal or not. So last call again for John Sheridan and Kate Beavers and Paul Cuny. So with that, Caleb, go ahead and start the 3 minutes, and we'll see if anybody wants to give comment.
Some Jeopardy music, maybe? Was fast. You know how she feels about that. Mary's got the.
Hero.
You did wash them? Better go wash them again. Rip. All right. So that was last call for public comment. I do not see any online. Can you confirm that for me, Bailey? And there's nobody else in the audience. I have no more comment cards here. So with that, we're going to close this public hearing at 12:32. I just want to thank everybody before we get going here for how courteous and respectful everybody was. I think we just set a very good example for Yamhill County and how meetings should be ran. So thank you all for that. I'm going to ask the board that we delay our deliberation. We continue this meeting at point of deliberation till next week. There has been comments submitted that were not given verbally that you guys have not seen. There has been packets that came with comments that I haven't even seen because they're still wrapped in a manila envelope, and there's actually quite a few there. So with respect to the process, I believe it is best that we delay our decision until next Thursday at 10 a.m., which will be the January 29th, correct, Ken?
Correct. I also just want to recognize that I just did a quick check in our BOC info folder, and we did have 4 comments that were submitted post 5 o'clock and you hitting the gavel closing the hearing. So we'll make sure that we share those 4 comments
Okay.
that we've received because it was received during the hearing period.
Perfect. Yeah, if we can get all that submitted and in the correct
Right.
spots, that'd be fantastic.
But
And
just to
then-
clarify that the record is closed
Yep.
at this point for any further comment.
Yep. So if we could make, I guess first is the majority of the board okay with delaying this for a week?
Yeah, sure.
And I would make a motion to that effect. Is there any further discussion?
Not on that.
None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. That is a unanimous decision. Ken, if you could photocopy all of that and just get it into the packet and then make dang sure that we get specific emails for the stuff that was handed out today. I just want to keep it separate so everybody knows what the situation was for it. Okay. All right. So with that, that brings us back to our regular agenda. And J, which is announcements. Commissioner King.
I all but forgot about this part of our meeting.
Thanks again to everybody that came and gave testimony.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I can't find my notes, so I'm just gonna wing it. I again would love to reiterate what Chair Johnson said and thank everybody for coming out today. I know that this is a highly contentious topic in our community, and yeah, just and thankful that this was a respectful last few hours. I spent a lot of my week going over most of the public comment and reading and all that was had to do, and I haven't really prepared much of the announcements of what my week looked like outside of that. Yeah, but I think that this is an important process that we're here for, and I look forward to the deliberation next week, and I think I'll just leave it at that.
Commissioner Stewart?
Usually you guys jog my memory of other things that I wanted to talk about, but oh well.
Thank you, Chair. Just some good news that we got from Association of Oregon Counties regarding the ONC dollars that go to counties as a 50% increase of the current revenue. Chair, you might have more information on that, but this is going to be really helpful for counties because, as we know, at the county level, budgets are strained. I had the chance to go to the Veterans Coffee Gathering in Newburgh, and it meets every Tuesday from 9 to 10 at the Nut Tree Ranch on East 2nd. And I want to say the importance of this cannot be overstated. There are Desert Storm veterans, there are World War II veterans. This is a safe place for them to meet every week. I want to thank Rebecca Wallace for cooking for the men and women. I got to see some deputies, former deputies who are veterans who are there. And I just want to say how much we appreciate the work that's being done on their behalf. Went to the mission, got to stop by the mission and spend some time there. And also we had our local investment advisory committee meeting. There are policy changes to our investment policy, and that is in review with the state. We have an adequate and stable liquidity supply. We have interest rate projections, which are going to impact our investments. And just want to say thank you to our treasurer for taking a look at that in depth and for presenting that to us. Chair?
Thank you. Sure.
I just wanted to flag to to you guys, all hands meeting that Carlton and Yamhill put on. Senator Starr and Representative Elmer were there, Superintendent of the Schools and Mayor Sherry Corrigan and the City Administrator for Carlton. We largely talked about the upcoming short session while we had the Senator and Rep there, and just their concerns coming up around the short session and what's happened with the transportation bill so far as well. I did appreciate one of the bigger concerns was from Mayor Corrigan that the potential for executive order coming from February 1st from the president on holding back from sanctuary states funding. And the senator's comment was really that we live in a constitutional United States, not one man holds the purse strings. And so the Attorney General will be filing a lawsuit, and that will mean it stay. So there was a lot of reiteration from both of them on that, and I really did appreciate that. And just from their lens, they also talked about your parkway, and we talked about the projects that they have funding for in Carlton, and the street projects that they have and the sewer stuff that they're should be fully funded for at this point. And then last night, I did want to publicly thank Chair Johnston. I was able to attend the Parks Board meeting and talk a little bit about transient lodging tax, and he thank you for staying behind. And there was some discussion that we would have been a little tricky to get involved, things that we had not talked about in a public meeting here. So just wanted to make sure and say thank you to that. And that's all I have. So go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thursday, we had our Fair Board meeting. I think the biggest thing came out of that meeting was they're trying to figure out how we can be a little bit better with coordinating our volunteer groups. So the volunteer group with the Sheriff's Department actually has an app that they use. So Fair Board's going to reach out to them. I think it was Craig Brown who's going to reach out to them, see how that interaction goes with that app with the volunteer sheriffs, and they're going to see if they can implement that for the fair to keep our volunteer program a little bit more efficient and see if we can actually garner more volunteers by keeping it more up to date. Friday, we had I went out to the Sheridan Chamber meeting. Loved it. The theme was shared with the chambers typically be, keep it under an hour. And they always have fun little games that they do. And Sheridan's was pun names for businesses. And you had to guess what the actual pun name was for either a bakery or a landscape company. And it's actually quite hilarious to watch those guys do that. Tuesday was Sheridan's city council meeting, and they had a resignation by a city councilor. So there will be an open seat in Sheridan. So if you know anybody, they're going to be accepting applications on that opening, correct, Gail? Okay. Wednesday was Parks Board. I did not go just in respect so that they could have a very in-depth conversation about TLT taxes in this county with Commissioner King. And then very last thing that I want to touch on, and I think very important to this county and to try to keep with the momentum with Parkway Committee and advocating for funding for the bypass. We have the opportunity now. We missed it because we had a board meeting, but Senator Merkley will also be in Polk County and Marion County. So I know it can seem daunting to give public comments in larger settings, and most of the time they will, during those town halls, they'll just hand out coupons as soon as you go in the door. So all that I would ask is that all of us attend the next two and ask the citizens of this county to attend the next two that are in Marion and Polk County. Grab those tickets, and it can be something just as short when that number is called, just to be like, I appreciate your support, your past support for the bypass, and then advocate for the funding to finish it fully, just to kind of reiterate and back up the work that our Parkway Committee has put into it and the efforts that we've had to actually travel to DC and meet with Senator Merkley along with Wyden and quite a few other of the federal delegation. And I think it's very important to strike while that iron's hot and just keep that at the forefront of their minds, that this is a very, very important project, especially on the heels of another death at Lafayette and 18. This bypass is a very, very important portion of our transportation that we need to keep pushing hard on to get completed. And I'll just give you my few talking points that I've regurgitated many a times. It is the only transportation project in this state that has no opposition to it. It is probably one of the, if not the most longest running legacy projects in the state of Oregon. And right now, and this obviously changes and it's a moving target, but right now we're looking at $410 million to finish phase 2B and 3. So if you can use any of that as talking points, go for it. But even if you just keep it as simple as thank you for your past support, please continue to support and advocate for it at the federal level. It'd be much appreciated, and especially by this board. So with that, I appreciate again everybody coming out, and I appreciate the ones that stuck around clear to the end of the meeting. And I'm going to adjourn this at 12:44. Thank you very much.